The horses plunged through the bright air, golden hooves twinkling, golden manes flying, dragging the great glittering chariot after them in a long flaming swoop. When they reached his village, he was horrified to see the roofs bursting into fire. The trees burned. People rushed about screaming. Their loose clothing caught fire and they burned like torches as they ran. Was it his village? He could not tell because of the smoke. Had he destroyed his own town, his own home? Burned his mother and his sisters? He threw himself backward in the chariot, pulling at the reins with all his might, shouting, "Up! Up!" And the horses, made furious by the smoke, reared on their hind legs in the air. They leaped upward, galloping through the smoke, pulling the chariot up, up. Swiftly the earth fell away beneath them. The village was just a smudge of smoke. Again he saw the pencil stroke of mountains, the ink blot of seas. "Whoa!" he cried. "Turn now! Forward on your path!" But he could no longer handle them. They were galloping, not trotting. They had taken the bit in their teeth. They did not turn toward the path of the day across the meadow of the sky, but galloped up, up, and the people on earth saw the sun shooting away until it was no larger than a star. Darkness came, and cold. The earth froze hard. Rivers froze, and oceans. Boats were caught fast in the ice in every sea. It snowed in the jungle. Marble buildings cracked. It was impossible for anyone to speak. Breath froze on the speaker's lips. And in the village and city, in the field and in the wood, people died of the cold. And the bodies piled up where they fell like firewood. Still, Phaethon could not hold his horses, and they galloped upward, dragging light and warmth away from the earth. Finally, they went so high that the air was too thin to breathe. Phaeton saw the flame of their breath, which had been red and yellow, burn blue in the thin air. He himself was gasping for breath. He felt the marrow of his bones freezing. Now the horses, wild with change, maddened by the feeble hand on the reins, swung around and dived toward earth again. Now all the ice melted, making great floods. Villages were swept away by a solid wall of water. Trees were uprooted and whole forests were torn away. The fields were covered by water. Lower swooped the horses and lower yet. Now the water began to steam, great billowing clouds of steam as the water boiled. Dead fish floated on the surface. Naiads moaned in dry riverbeds. Phaeton could not see. The steam was too thick. He had unbound the reins from his waist, or they would have cut him in two. He had no control over the horses at all. They galloped upward again, out of the steam, taking at last the middle road, but racing wildly, using their tremendous speed, circling the earth in a matter of minutes, smashing across the sky from horizon to horizon, making the day flash on and off like a child playing with a lamp. And the people who were left alive were bewildered by the light and darkness following each other so swiftly. Up high on Olympus, the gods in their cool garden heard a clamor of grief from below. Zeus looked upon earth. He saw the runaway horses of the sun and the hurtling chariots. He saw the dead and the dying, the burning forest, the floods, the weird frost. Then he looked again at the chariot and saw that it was not Apollo driving, but someone he did not know. He stood up, drew back his arm, and hurled a thunderbolt. It stabbed through the air, striking Phaeton, killing him instantly, knocking him out of the chariot. His body, flaming, fell like a star, and the horses of the sun, knowing themselves driverless, galloped homeward toward their stables at the eastern edge of the sky. Phaeton's yellow-haired sisters grieved for the beautiful boy. They could not stop weeping. They stood on the bank of the river where he had fallen until Apollo, unable to comfort them, changed them into poplar trees. Here they still stand on the shore of the river, weeping tears of amber sap. And since that day, no one has been allowed to drive the chariot of the sun except the sun god himself. But there are still traces of Phaeton's ride. The ends of the earth are still covered with ice caps. Mountains still rumble, trying to spit out the fire started in their bellies by the diving sun.